Thank you for tuning in to another Terrific Tips for Business. I am Terry, your host, and today I have a special friend with me, so I'm glad that you're tuning in. I have Becky Nguyen with Caring Transitions of Winston-Salem found home in Pofftown, North Carolina, back in September of 2017 through the relocation of Becky's husband's company. So Becky is a friend of mine who I've met through networking here in the Triad, and she's got a lot of really amazing experience, and that's why I have her on the show today. So let me share a little bit more about what Becky's background includes. She has made herself very, very well-rounded, and she loves embracing new opportunities. That's probably why we're friends. She thrives when she's able to cultivate relationships, deliver impactful services, and support causes that make an impact on communities. She's served administratively, and she's planned and executed company events that ranged in attendance from 300 to 1,200 people. Boy, she's somebody I need to know. I might need those services later. She has delivered quality programs, stayed under budget, and implemented tracking systems to measure event activities and participation. In her 8 years of self-employment as a realtor, she served on a part-time and full-time capacity, working primarily with first-time homebuyers in the first 3 years, and ultimately serving over 125 buyers and sellers. Becky was awarded the Rising Star Award in 2011 and then climbed upwards, acquiring 2 additional awards as a result of her sales accomplishments. Becky's heart evolves around giving back of her time and her talent with local outreach programs. She's involved with the Junior League of Winston-Salem, filling the board role of Assistant Vice President of Community Impact. I'm sure she has a lot of things on her plate as it relates to just that. Her volunteer time with Meals on Wheels, Read Winston-Salem, the Backpack Program of Foresight, and is actively engaged as an
Eucharistic minister
in her church. Thank you. I didn't know how to say that word. I was like, that's a new one. Becky and her husband have 2 Shih Tzu dogs, Bentley and Cooper, which are adorable. And they enjoy traveling domestically and internationally and have even been to Vietnam. Becky's husband actually is native to Vietnam. They've also visited Australia, Kazakhstan, and Norway, which of course is one of her most favorite places of all thus far. They have a son who lives in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and a daughter who currently lives in Seattle, Washington. When she's not traveling, she gets to enjoy life at home, hiking and bicycling. When Julie Villieu opened her doors of Caring Transition Winston-Salem, Becky knew it was going to be the right fit for her. As a move management, relocation, and liquidation company, Caring Transitions not only supports their clients, they've also supported local nonprofits like Habitat for Humanity Restore, GreenX, and Goodwill Industries of Northwest North Carolina. What a perfect match. Becky has been such a great light and inspiration in my life since I've met her, and I'm so glad that she's taking the time to be with us this afternoon. So please join me in welcoming Miss Becky to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Terry.
Yeah.
It's always a joy.
Yeah, it really is. And we talked for like a half an hour before this, so this is awesome. One of the things that is most exciting and interesting about the work that you do is your involvement with the community and how that has impacted the lives of the people you have served.
Absolutely.
And through Caring Transitions, you really provide some additional support and tools. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to have you on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you. As we continue to do what we do, I uncover and discover new organizations that could benefit, with the household goods that our clients are no longer going to need as they work to transition from their current home to their next home, whether it's going to be an apartment or a condo, or maybe even going into a senior living community. Recently, say before COVID-19, we discovered Green Nest, GREE capital NEST. And I love that organization because they hold accountable the individuals who want to move into their own apartment or what have you. They're perhaps maybe homeless and living at shelters, and they want to be able to start over again. And they need to come up with $150 in order to be able to move into an apartment. And Green Nest has point systems behind household items, and that individual will walk in with $150 and be able to, by the time they're done, have their whole place furnished and have their kitchen equipped to be able to have, dinnerware and pots and pans and what have you. Pretty cool.
Wow, that is really cool. I had never heard of Green Nest before, so that's really interesting. I'm glad to hear that we have a program like that, and hopefully they'll continue to grow so that they can become national, because we certainly need that kind of support all over our country.
If you haven't checked them out, check them online. When you walk in, it's just this whole showroom, and they have it so elegantly done. So you feel like you're, feeling like you're party to shopping for yourself. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
And of course, Habitat Restore, where they're always out there looking to make a difference and helping individuals to furnish their homes. And they encourage us as individuals to go shop there too, because they do get new items from different, what do you call stores,
or donations. People donate items to the Habitat for Humanity Restore and the Goodwill. We love Habitat for Humanity Restore too. It's a great place to buy some gently used items that can make a difference for your house. We've gotten corner tables and sofas and things like that from Habitat for Humanity Restore. So yeah.
Yes, pretty cool.
Yeah. So I wanted you on the show today because a lot of our listeners are small business owners, and you do a lot of community conversations around clutter.
Oh, imagine that.
And stress. And I thought, well, how many of us right now have a pile of paperwork here, 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 and here on their desk, and they're not working on their desk?
I'm guilty.
Me too, because I'm like, I can't work with all of this. I need to go somewhere else.
Yes, you would not believe how my desk looks today compared to what it once looked like. As shared earlier, Terry, you said I moved, 2.5 years ago in 2017, and the one room that I got paralyzed in was my office. I had my whole house was ready to go for the movers to come in and take it away, but I could not get past my office. And I had piles all over the place, on the floor, on the desk. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? And I ended up calling an organizer whom I knew through networking. And it turned out that we had actually worked together at a previous job. And it was pretty neat to see that come back full circle. And I just said, Cheryl, I need help. I don't know. I know what I need to do, but I can't get through it. Help me, and she was there, and she not only did she hold me accountable, because, we don't need thousands of pens. Oh my gosh. And trust me, I still have containers of them, but not as many as I used to.
And you just never know when it's going to run out of ink.
No, and everybody gets pens, and you might find a pen that you really like that writes really well, and you don't want to give it up. But it was pretty powerful, and I knew what I needed to do. And even when we moved here, I still didn't have my office where I wanted it to be yet. I needed to work on that myself. And if there's any benefit to COVID-19, I said, all right, get over it, let's go. And that all was a result of me doing the space diet presentations to a few of our communities through Caring Transitions. And the space diet has a term called FAT.
Oh,
FAT means full of acquired things.
Aren't we all?
Yes, it's so, and I was like, oh yes. And the other thing I got to thinking was, if there's stuff piled on our desks, when's the last time we touched it? Do we really need it? Right. So if I can make any suggestion, you start with the visible things first, and don't follow Becky's Becky's way because Becky's always the opposite. Why I did this, I can't tell you because it's true. We should focus on the physical things those things that are within your eyesight. Get rid of them first, and if you haven't touched that pile that's like this for months and months and months, maybe years, you know where it needs to go. You don't need it, right? And
like,
the
do
likelihood
yourself
is,
a favor, don't look through it, just chuck it. Yeah.
And the likelihood is that you're going to most likely find it online, So now I am a very visual person, so that does tend to be something I need to have there. So, but I've got a laptop, I've got a desktop, go look at it that way, I do still print. I've got my binders, which are behind me. But my business cards, they're all in business card holders. Again, yes, I have a CRM, but I'm a visual person. I need to see it, and be able to see it and touch it. So that's very, and yes, we got our phones, and our phones can have all of our contacts in the world. But again, it's not visual to me,
Right.
so that's how I operate. But my filing cabinet is where I started. It's not a visual thing. It's all hidden.
The files are inside. Yeah.
So what was crazy, as I was doing the space diet, I started going through, I've been here 2.5 years, had to do a lot of downsizing because I had a full basement. My basement was livable. And then we also had a crawl space in that basement that had, I saved everything. You got kids, let me tell you, if with technology today, take the pictures and throw it away after they don't see it. So, because I had to bring my kids home and say, all right, you guys need to help go through this. We need to figure out what you want, what you don't. And guess what? Everything was gone. We tossed it all. I saved bills after bills. Most likely in my mind, I was thinking it'll be neat to see where we were and where we are today. But guess who doesn't care? Our kids. We don't care anymore either. Doesn't matter. Oh my gosh, and boxes and boxes. I spent so much money getting things shredded, because it was, now what I learned once I got here, and I don't know if it was available up north where I came from. I have no clue, but I became aware of it here, is there's all kinds of places that you can take your stuff to get shredded for free or you donate to. So I would encourage you, as you're working on cleaning up your office, to make it clutter-free, to take the stress off your shoulders and to make you more productive. That's what started the filing cabinet. That's what drove me. It was like, all right, I have these 6 boxes that are from real estate from up north. I'm now able to shred them, because we have to hold files for so long. And I'm now at a point where I could shred them. And I went to go pay for it, and I was networking. Imagine that. And someone said, well, you can do that for free or for a fee to support a nonprofit. What? These boxes were in my car. 6 boxes of pink boxes, I'm like, you're telling me I got to take them all back out? Yep. I did. I brought them home and I took them out, and then COVID happened. But prior to COVID, I said, all right, let's work on my file cabinet. Let's fill another box up before I, go take these things and get them shredded.
I really need to go through my own filing cabinet because I know I used to have more paper files than I do now.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had more paper files, I kept them in my filing cabinet. Mm-hmm. And as you're talking about this, I'm thinking to myself, when was the last time you opened that filing cabinet? Okay. All right. When was the last time you pulled out? Name the file. When was the last time you pulled that one out? Yeah. Okay. Because I do, I was thinking about it. I'm like, probably a month ago. Okay. You pulled out one of your active client files, right? Yeah. Okay. What about all the other ones?
Right.
Didn't look at them. Didn't touch them. Didn't think about them.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So you invested in this beautiful filing cabinet for what? To store a bunch of garbage. Good job. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm a pretty detailed person too, so everything's alphabetical. And I did. There's one drawer, it was all personal, but it was stuff. It really was stuff, and it was bills and credit card receipts and you name it, it was in there. And I got it down to half. I'm sure
I
it could be more.
understand saving some of the bills because, like, I think for the IRS, you have to save like 7 years or something like that.
Well, and if you're self-employed, you're going to be able to write those off. So I do keep. I'm not self-employed any longer, but I do keep them because you never know. You never know when you might need them. And even for if you're going to sell your house, oftentimes people want to know how much do you spend on your heating and electric and what have you. So if you can share some of that information with them, they'll appreciate it too.
Yeah.
So that's the real estate side of me is just remember what individuals will ask for. What did it cost to operate your home when it came to your utilities?
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
and it's all about keeping good records. So if do you have a way for people to keep some of those records digitally so then they don't have the physical clutter?
Well, and that's just it. You could create a spreadsheet, which is something I started doing too, and when I was tracking my expenses and what have you, I would just put them in there. Have I gotten rid of them? I've gotten rid of the years past. And I didn't used to do that before. Now I do. This is the other thing. See all these little things?
Sticky notes. Oh, yeah.
How many of us have them all over our office? You'd say, oh, hurry up, I got to write. Now, interestingly enough, a lot of these came from other people, and I don't need them anymore. I should just throw them away.
But they're so pretty to look at, Becky. Do you frame your monitor with them?
So that's just it. Is they're visuals for you, but they're clutter. They take up what I converted to. I do it all the time now. I have my notebooks and I use them all the time. And I have a highlighter out because sometimes your notebooks can get, everything runs together. So I'll highlight that needs to jump out at me. Don't forget, it's a follow up or what have you. Some people do. I forget what the name of that is, where they basically create a table of contents and they make room. There's a way to formulate your notebook so that you can very easily define it.
Bullet journaling?
Yes, that's it. Yes. Do you do it?
No.
No.
I did attempt it. I know somebody here in the local market space who teaches bullet journaling classes. Brilliant. I attended a couple of her seminars that she talked about it. Love the idea, love the creativity behind it. I'm a creative person, so for me, it just was like right up my alley. But at the end of the day, the time investment on the front side to get it to be what you need it to be, I just couldn't pull myself to investing that time. And so I've never really done it. But I'd like the idea. If somebody could organize the journal for me and then I can just fill the gaps in, that would be fine.
So this is my notebook for keeping notes when I'm talking with individuals and what have you. And then like if we're doing professional development, I have a whole other, and it depends on what it is. I'll have a whole other notebook, that's what's helped me because then it's all together. It's not all over the place. And I have a place to turn to, when I need to do that and go from there. Because remember, I'm the visual person, but it's made a world of difference. So I was talking with my daughter not long ago, and she said I had been working on getting rid of stuff I haven't touched and used and what have you for a while. And she said, what about your office? I said, you'll never believe what my office looks like. I said, there's a desk. You can see the bottom of that desk.
I haven't been able to see it in years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what does having a cluttered workspace do to a business owner's mindset, to their productivity, to their capacity even?
Imagine the time that you save yourself from the distractions of what's around you and the stress. When there's disorder, you might think it's beneficial to you, but really it's creating stress because how many of us are oftentimes in a hurry and ready to go, right? But we need that one piece of information and we need to find it. And we come and we're scrambling for it. We kind of know, but it's underneath that pile somewhere.
I know it's in that stack.
Yes.
Yeah.
We gotta go, but we can't go without that. And oh my gosh, the time that you save yourself, to do that, and the stress level that just, I can't tell you how much it just relieved me when I had an office. Jim Bess, he's with, he's a pest control. And forgive me, I can't remember his name, right, the name of the pest control. He's my pest control person. Anyway, he'd come when I was in the middle of doing all this because I had to rearrange my office. The other part of COVID is I had to turn my desk around because the lighting had to hit us for our virtual calls. Yeah. And my desk was facing a wall because I need to eliminate distractions, and stuff on your desk, that's a distraction, right? Well, so was, sorry, that's my puppies hearing something.
No worries.
And the door's closed. It's pretty crazy how my husband's coming home from work and they hear the garage door.
Oh. No worries, it's life. Mine's sleeping right here next to me. I'm surprised my microphone's not picking up her snoring.
Yes, that's exactly what's happening. They heard the garage door, and as soon as he comes home, they start barking. Okay. Oh my gosh, shame on me. I'm gonna have to get back to you about Jim Best. But anyway, he saw my floor was I had stuff all over the floor because I needed to turn my desk around and I had to get rid of stuff. And actually, it was good for me because behind me is, we have cabinets and I've got bookcases, and I didn't need to have that stuff up on the credenza that it was in. I could put it away. It didn't need to be visible. And so it encouraged me to be able to turn around and make it more brighter and more inviting.
So paying attention, if you are a visual person, because a lot of us are visual people, right? I know for me, I'm a visual person too. I'm a creative. So most creatives are visual in some nature. So being conscious of what it is that we're putting into our visual perceptions, and making an intentional decision about what it is that we're seeing can have an effect on our brain. True.
Absolutely. There's there's a decluttering expert. Her name is Tracy McCubbin. She's a business owner, and she is author of the book called The Clutter Code. It says many business owners maintain their home as a functional space while completely disregarding their offices. In fact, their office becomes their dirty little secret, the place where they can call chaos their process and disorder filing system. And so if you can work on working through that and taking time, whether you set a goal and set a time of when that you're going to meet that goal. And what does that goal look like? Maybe it's setting aside an hour a day and working on that one pile. And keep yourself accountable for it. Find an accountability partner, so that you can say to that person, I'm doing this today. This is what I'm doing. And the most important thing, put this away. Turn on the music, turn off your computer, turn on the music, put away your phone, because when we're working, what are we naturally prone to do? Pick up the phone and answer the call, right? But we're working on bettering ourselves by removing the clutter that's in our office so we can be more productive when we do our jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, there was a research study done, and I don't remember if it was Stanford or Harvard, but it was one of those places, and they talked about when you become distracted, how long does it take you in minutes to get back to whatever task you were on before? And it's something like 20 minutes. So you're in the middle of working on something and something on your desk took your attention. And now you're doing that thing. How long does it take for you to get back to whatever you were just working on to finish that task because you allowed yourself to be distracted by that thing in your desk? And that adds to our stress level.
It does. The term that comes to mind is squirrel.
Squirrel.
I'm guilty of that. I'll want to get on to social media to look for a resource or something like that, or to look for a contact name, and it's work related, but I get distracted because, there's this other stuff happening, or news blur pops up that caught my attention, but that's not why I got on, right? Squirrel.
And that's how you end up in social media for 20 minutes at a time. And before you know it, you're like, where did 3 hours of my day go? Social media. Yeah, it happens to all of us. Oh, my pest guy is here. Somebody just walked by the window, like not even somebody, like pole went by. I'm on the second floor, so there's a pole going by my window. It's like, what is that? See, squirrel. It happens to all of us. And when we get distracted, it does take us away from what we were trying to accomplish. It makes whatever we were trying to accomplish take longer. So in the US, we have the typical 8-hour workday.
Yes.
Right? For some people, that same 8 hours equals 12 hours of workday. But in other countries, you talk to people from other countries, their work days are only 5 hours.
Oh, interesting.
Why is that? Well, you've got like 3 hours in the morning, and then they take an hour or two for their lunch break because they don't have what we have here. They have to go out and go home and cook lunch, or go out and shop for lunch and like go to a restaurant. They don't have like the fast food concept that we have here. They have 2 hours for their lunch. They have balance, right? They come back and they work for another 2, maybe 3 hours. And then they go home and they make dinner and do all of the things, right? So they have this balance. And what they have found in those other countries is more work gets done in less time.
Because they're more focused.
Because they're more focused and they're more deliberate, and they remove the distractions. And so what if you, as a business owner who's listening to this, walked through some steps, and I'm sure Becky is going to share some steps with us to help us declutter our space a little bit so that we can start to create that highly productive space. We've all read the book, The Minute Manager. We've read the book, The 4-Hour Work Week. If we could only have that, right? But you can if you remove the distractions. So Becky, do you have a tip? You mentioned clearing up the stuff that you can see visually first. Okay. What are some strategies that you have for that? I have a pile on my desk. What's the first thing I should do with that? I know a lot of people want to look through it.
That's right. They do want to look through it. And it's only natural to do that because you want to make sure you're not throwing away an important document, right? But don't allow yourself to get engrossed in rereading everything. You look at that title. Is that title important to you anymore? Likely not. So you toss it. Oftentimes we can be guilty of collecting magazines and newspapers, Triad Business Journal, our binders. I used to have tons and tons of binders. So do they binders belong on your desk, or should they be labeled and put behind you somewhere where you can easily, get it? Label those binders. That, I didn't do that for a while. I always had, and then I didn't do that here right away. And it was just pure procrastination. Couldn't take long, right? So setting up that time to just focus on that pile, going through it. If you feel like that pile is enough for that day, that's good. You've accomplished something. Then do it the next day. I tend to be the type of person that once I do it, I'm going to keep diving in and keep on going. You can burn yourself out by doing that. And then you don't want to go back and do it because you've gotten bored and maybe even overwhelmed. If you find that you would be better off having someone come in and help you, bring in a partner, bring in a buddy to work through it. And when we talk about desktop clutter, it's not just your desktop, it's your actual computer desktop. What does your emails look like? Guilty. I don't throw away emails, but really we should have them filed away or deleted. As we start each day, we pick a time in the day, maybe it's 2 or 3 times in the day to check your emails, address those emails. It's just like when you pick up a piece of mail or your paper, you touch it once. Take action with what that particular item needs, and then put it away. File it away. Make some files and file those things away that you need to touch regularly. And others, make it electronically. If you have a scanner, scan it in, and put it in digitally that way. We do have technology that can help to eliminate a lot of that information. The other reason why you want to go through that pile is maybe there are some tax documents that you need to save, and it might not have gotten into the pile that you thought it had gotten into. So it's but have a box beside you. Come equipped with a box to toss, a box to shred. If you have a shredder, you can use it, but if you've got a lot of shredding, I've burnt out many shredders, take advantage of the different shredding services that are around your area, research it online, and then reorganize your computer desktop too. Make a purpose and work on it. Stay focused.
And I'm guilty of that. So I hate a cluttered computer desktop. And so I try to make time pretty much weekly at this point. I have to clean off my desktop and put things where they're supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it looks like a freaking bomb went off on my computer desktop and I can't find a dang thing. So I have filing systems inside of my computer. And if I could follow that filing system in my real life for my office, and I know for me, a clear space makes a clear mind. And when I have a clear mind, I'm able to receive the information I need to receive. So that way I can keep being productive and effective and efficient for my clients.
That's right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm also one of those people that I'm just like, wait until it's to a point where it like is screaming at you to take care of it.
Yes.
And then you're like, okay, I'm going to just turn music on and I'm going to dive in. And 5.5 hours later, it's what you want it to be. But then you're like, okay, fucking, I'm not doing it again. And 6 months later, it's screaming at you again. You have to do something about it. Yeah. So is there a way to help us stay organized easily once we get there?
So I would say yes, because, remember that touch it once type scenario? There may be a project you're working on. Once we get ourselves to that point where we're working on just that project, focus on that project so that you can put that particular item away. Paperwork is like love handles. They never seem to go away, right? So do a quick sort, throw those things away that you don't need. How many times have this is a good example. How many times have we had a pile, we thought we had it, we couldn't find it, so we reprinted it, right? We printed on the
sorry.
Squirrel.
She was having a bad dream. She's laying here next to me and her lips are all curling up.
Oh.
So I tried to mute myself, but I don't think it worked. So I'm sorry.
You mute yourself. I could tell you were talking.
Yes. So my dog is laying next to me and she was having a bad dream. And when she's getting all snarly, I try and remind her that she's here with me. She's safe. Without touching her because I don't want her to be like, and get me. So I'm sorry. I did. Squirrel again.
I was me this time because I was like, squirrel. Anyway, so, we'll print something off that we probably already had. I just caught that myself the other day. I had strategic COVID practices for a company, and my desk isn't that full, but apparently I didn't think I had it because I had 2 copies of it. So tossed it away. I didn't need 2 copies. The other one's filed in my binder, because I do want to keep it readily available. So that if I need to reference it, I have it at my fingertips. Depending on the type of files and businesses you have, certain documents may need to be kept for a number of years. So consult with your tax accountant or your accountant and find out how long do I need to keep them. And then create your banker boxes and label them so that you can keep an eye on it. And when it's time to be able to get those items shredded, you can shred them. So that way they're somewhere safe. You already have them in a file most likely, unless you didn't and you're just piling them in there, and then go from there. And depending
I really
on the item,
love the idea of touch it once. Mm-hmm. That's such a simple concept. So you've mentioned it a couple of times. So I wanted to drive that point home again for everybody listening. Like, if it is a file that you're going to need to keep, as you're looking at it, put it where you need to keep it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I know a lot of us have a habit, since we have these beautiful electronic devices that are glued to our hip. We have a habit of checking our email while we're on the go and then marking the same email as unread so that we can read it again later because we're not in a position to respond to it right now. Mm-hmm. I would caution you to stop doing that because you're making yourself touch the same email twice. Absolutely. And it's the first time you didn't do anything with it. So why even look at it if you're not going to do anything with it?
Mm-hmm. We tend to not allow ourselves to have the calm and quiet of that moment we feel like, well, we'll save ourselves some time by looking at that email. In reality, we haven't, because it requires us to move forward and take action with that email for the most part, right? So absolutely, and savor the moment and allow yourself to decompress for that moment, and then address it when you have the ability to get in front. I'm guilty. I am not a very fast texter or emailer off of my phone. And I just did it last night where I was responding to a business contact. And I was like, if I was in front of my keyboard, I would have typed it a whole lot faster and and I would have been done.
Yeah.
So recognize your strengths and capitalize on them so that you're not stressing yourself out for the next hour doing something that is not stressful related, but created stress on yourself because you're not swift in taking advantage of something you need to do, right?
So that's a really good point, is being able to, and we've talked about this a couple of times on the show, is being able to recognize your weaknesses and admit to them,
Yes.
acknowledge them. Don't beat yourself up over it. Know that it's there and make an adjustment to your life that allows that weakness to become irrelevant.
It can become a strength.
It can be.
Because you have turned yourself around to a point where you can be much more relaxed and productive and effective.
So are there times that you have, because you mentioned multiple times in the day that you set aside for checking email, is it based off of what's optimal for you, or do you have recommendations of when the optimal times are to deal with email, so then that way we're not checking it on the go, so that we can have that moment of peace and quiet in our brain?
Well, when you first wake up in the morning, don't touch your phone and check your emails. That sets you up for stress for the day. And how many of us are guilty of it? I do it. I try really hard not to, but sometimes I do need to take a look. And really what I'm trying to do is that squirrel effect again, is I'm looking at, okay, what does my day look like to refresh my memory? And then I start clicking. But reality is I need to get up and I need to take care of me. I need to take care of my pups. And we have a ritual. We walk every morning before I come in and sit down and start working. And then, we eat our breakfast and what have you. But when you check your emails right away, it just kind of sets the mood and the tone for you for that day. So what if you allowed yourself to take care of what you need to do to get yourself started in a positive manner, and then set that time to check your email, set 20 minutes, and you address those emails at noontime or, whatever time lunchtime is before you go to lunch. Again, address those emails 20 minutes. And then at the end of the day, let's say your day ends at 5, check them at 4:30, wrap it up. And that's not just the same not just for emails, but even what's on your desktop. What do we need to, what's important for tomorrow that we need to go with, and set priorities for it. Some people are list makers, right? So if you're a list maker, what haven't you done that's going to carry over to the next day? And that's might be more of a priority because we didn't get it done the day before. And list the top 3 things, because if you put more, you're going to set yourself up for failure. So set yourself up for success. What are your top 3 and make that your goal?
That's such a great tip. All of that is all great tips. I'm also guilty of, I will occasionally touch my phone before I do anything. And actually a couple of weeks ago, my husband was like, hey, so how's that morning meditation going for you? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, because every morning you make me get up to take the shower first. I come out of the shower and where are you? You're on your phone. And then you're on your phone before you go to bed. And you're on your phone all day long. So like, is there a time that you're meditating? And I was like, oh, busted. He totally busted me. And he was right. And since he busted me, I have been better about use the phone as the alarm clock, shut it off, and don't look at the screen. The mistake is looking at the screen. Don't look at the screen. Just shut it off and then go about your morning routine. Think about it like this. We're business owners, right? So we're talking to a bunch of business owners. We don't want to get into the day-to-day of our job because we're a business owner. We're not job owners. We're business owners. So we automatically think, because we're in the hustle culture and the hustle society, that it is good to check our messages, check our phones, check our whatnot before we get moving in the day, because then that helps us prioritize the day.
Right.
What that does is derail us from the day. It derails us from receiving what we need to receive as the leader.
Yes.
Right? So what if, and I like how you said it that way, what if you didn't look at your phone first thing in the morning? And what if you allowed yourself that 2 hours of time, 3 hours of time, hour and a half of time, whatever it is, to do what you need to do? And then you say, okay, now I'm ready to receive whatever the rest of the world thinks it needs of me today.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That's perfect. Absolutely.
Right? Because that's really all social media is a gateway for the rest of the world to be like, hey, I need you.
There's a great, I was trying to find it, there's a great leadership development. Go onto LinkedIn, and there's a great, I follow it daily, and it's leadership development, and it talks about it's different advice from different leaders of our society. And they talk a lot about how we need to set that balance. They themselves have learned it, in order for them to be successful and to be the best leaders for those who they're serving, they need to practice it themselves. And I really appreciate it. I read, it's called Leadership First. It's on LinkedIn. It would be a great resource to just kind of follow and see. And I like the messages that they tend to bring out.
Thank you. That's great. We'll have to look into that. I find it fascinating how physical clutter clutters our metaphysical space.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding better the value of having a clear space and how we can trim that fat of our acquired things. Whoa. She almost knocked all my stuff over.
We love our pets.
We do. I do. I love my dog.
They're
He is my child. But it's interesting how the clutter of the physical space can clutter our metaphysical space and cause anxiety, cause stress, cause distraction, cause frustration. And if we just took the time to clear up the physical space, how much clearer, how much less stress, less anxiety, less fear, less frustration would we have in our brain?
Absolutely. Our brains would be so relieved to eliminate all that extra stuff,
Our bodies would appreciate it too, I'm sure.
Imagine that.
Becky, this has been amazing. I know we can talk for hours because we always do.
Yes.
But I want to respect your time and everybody else's. So I have one more question for you.
Absolutely.
What is the best way for everybody to get in touch with you if they're feeling like they need a little help getting some declutter happening, some consolidation? I think you call it right sizing.
Yes, right sizing. So we are, we would like to be considered the leading move-in resource for all of our communities. And our most successful business model is performing a full array of services, whether that's for adults in transition. That includes sorting, organizing, everything we just talked about, packing, move management, unpacking our estate sales through CT bids. We do offer free consultations, and the best number you want to call is 336-290-6021. It's 336-290-6021. You'll get the lovely Julie Billieu, who is our owner, who will return your phone call and set up an appointment with you. And we tailor our services to what your needs are. So when you do find yourself frustrated, even if you've taken that day, that time, and you're like, this is way overwhelming, we can come in and we can help take the stress off of your life.
That's so awesome. And I so appreciate you being here with us, sharing the FAT acronym with us. I haven't heard that one before, and giving us some really tangible tips to help us clear our space, clear our mind, and become so much more productive and effective for our businesses and our lives. So thank you so much.
And thank you so much, Terry, for having me today.
Yeah. We'll talk to you more soon.
All right. Thank you.